Hello friends, James Stevenson here with a fresh episode of Who's Hating Hard on Tesla Today? I'll go ahead and let you know our hater for today, who's hating hard on Tesla, is Adam Warden. You may not know him. He describes himself as a corporate turnaround exec in Sydney, Australia. All right, fine. As we check in with my co-host Loki, who is curled up sleeping in bed, having already eaten his breakfast this morning. Just trying to get comfortable. You can keep an eye on Loki and the Loki's bed cam right here below me as I turn my attention to this data everybody's been talking about this week, released by the California New Car Dealers Association, with lots of registration data by brand, by model, and by automaker. I've made some charts about it and tweeted those out. Adam Warden tried his hand at making a chart, and we will look at that in just a minute. But what I want to show you here is the data in question. So last year, just to orient you to this data, the total number of battery electric vehicles registered in California over the first 9 months of the year, January through September, we're going to call that year-to-date Q3, was 184,194 vehicles, right? Okay, so last year, all of these automakers combined sold a total of 184,000 battery electric vehicles in California over the first 9 months of the year. We got one number out of the way. We know that one. This year, so far, over the first 9 months of the year, Tesla alone has sold 183,278 vehicles, so almost as many as everyone combined had sold last year up until this point. Tesla has sold by themselves. They've increased their sales by more than 51,000 vehicles, and as you look across the rest of the numbers in this table, you'll see nobody else is close to that kind of growth, unless you look at it as a percentage, which some people want to do. So how much is 51,000 over 132,000? It's 38.5% growth, which is respectable. But it's nowhere near as impressive as 11,750% growth, which is what Cadillac achieved when they grew their sales from 8 to 948. They still haven't sold 1,000 EVs. But they did increase their BEV sales by 11,750%. All right. In this next box over here, you see market share. So the 132,000 as a percentage of the 184,000 in total last year was 71.8% of the market. So Tesla's competitors combined only had the remaining 28.2% of the market, which they divided, 20 ways between them. And some of them had zero sales last year, like Lexus and Subaru, right? And this year they only have some. And because they went from zero to only some, they're taking EV market share from Tesla. That's how the logic of year-over-year change in EV market share works. So we see Subaru here went from 0 to 1,320. They took half a point of EV market share in California away from Tesla by virtue of improving from 0 to 1,320. I'll show you another one here from Toyota. Last year they sold 203 vehicles. This year, 2,430. So they took 0.8 percentage points of market share away from Tesla. Tesla lost 8.9% because when you divide 183 into 291, it makes 62.9% of the market. So Tesla still has almost 2/3 of the market, which isn't as good as 71% of the market, but it's still far and away the most, right? Like, does anybody else have 5% of the market? Only Chevrolet has 5.2% of the market this year. Everybody else is less than that, except for Tesla, over 62%. But because they've lost 8.9 percentage points. That's the headline. Tesla loses EV market share in California is the headline, and then they hope you don't read the article. They they hope you don't realize stuff like, oh, Tesla sold already as many BEVs in California this year as everybody else combined sold last year. Okay, but I have to get to the hater, who is Adam Warden, so I will get rid of this and show you this tweet saying the top Tesla analyst, he's talking about me, is excited, question mark, to share the decline of Tesla in California relative to the extraordinary market rise of a plethora of innovative, better value, and quality competitor offerings. I guess he's excited by the trend, but doesn't know how to show it yet. With the laughing emoji. What does he have here? Well, he's got an Adam Warden special. This chart was not provided in the data, and you may not recognize these numbers that are over here. He's attributed minus 12% to Tesla. Remember, we just saw that it was 8.9 in the data published by the California New Car Dealers Association. So he has done something to make his own chart here. Let's see if we can reverse engineer what Adam did to make this chart that shows Mercedes, BMW, and VW up by more than 100%, and Tesla and Ford down by 12% and 14%. Those seem unusual. Let's bring up my trusty spreadsheet, where I have populated it with the information from the table. Right? I just dropped it in. I just typed in all the numbers here. And I added a column here, which is the increase or decrease amount. In the data table, they don't give you the amount, they only give you the percentage. So this 38.5%, you can't tell by just glancing at the chart, but that is 51,000 units worth of growth year over year. But I have shown that for you here. Did anybody else grow by even 10,000 units year over year? No, none of them did. So Tesla is growing units registered in California so far this year by more than 5x what anybody else has grown their unit registrations by. All right, so here's that 71.8%, here's that 62.9%, and here's that 9%. So this is 8.96. So I guess it got truncated to 8.9 in the data or something, or it got rounded off, who knows. So here's that 8.9%. It just says 9.0% here. And here's the 12% that Adam Warden got. I've sorted the chart in order of his dumb nonsense metric, which I will explain to you. And here's Ford at 14%. So we know we got the right thing here. Okay. What is this doing? It's taking the 9 percentage points of difference between 71.8 in 2022 and the 2023 62.9%, and it's dividing the percentage point change by the prior year number. Now, if it sounds like nonsense to you to have a metric called year-over-year percent change in percent share, like you've never seen that before, that's because Adam Warden made it up. No self-respecting analyst would calculate these numbers, and I'll tell you why Adam Warden knows that. You can tell by looking at his chart here. Let me go up here. Yeah, so here's his chart. What's missing from this chart? What's missing from this chart? Well, I'll help you out by showing you the Adam Warden chart crime. Subaru, Lexus, Cadillac, and Toyota are missing. They're all ranked higher than Mercedes on this metric. But Mercedes is shown as the highest one on this chart. And then everything below Ford is also missing. So by this dumb metric, Nissan, Kia, Porsche, Mini, Jaguar, GMC, and Mazda were all way worse than Tesla. But on this chart, we only get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 automakers. curiously. Well, maybe it's because you can't even see the Tesla bar on this chart if you do it this way, right? Because it's being skewed by this Cadillac number. What's the Cadillac number doing? Well, I'll show you. The Cadillac number is the 0.3 percentage point increase divided by the 2022 market share. So in 2022, Cadillac sold 8 of the 184,194 BEVs registered in California. So that 8 out of 184,194 was good for 0.000 no, I assumed the next one would also be a 0. No, it was good for 0.0043% of the market. That's what selling 8 EVs will get you. So this number, 0.325%, is 7,387% larger than that number was. That's what this metric's good for. If you think this is a helpful number, tell me what you can do with this information. What does this 7,387% represent? Is it useful for forecasting purposes? Do we think Cadillac is going to grow their market share again next year by 7,387%? Let's see what that would do. I take this number, this year's market share, and I multiply it by 73.87%, and it would tell me that in 2024, year-to-date Q3, Cadillac will have 24% of the market. Do you think that's true? And the following year, they'll have 1,700% of the market if they keep growing at 7,387 percentage point growth per year. It's a stupid nonsense metric. So you got to be careful when you see somebody posting a chart to Twitter. Hey, does this chart even make any sense? Is this useful for anything? He knew that that number was nonsense, which is why he left it off his chart. He stuck to the center of the chart to make it look like Tesla was doing a lot worse than everybody else. You can see I've sorted this list from top to bottom. Tesla's right in the middle of the list by this dumb metric. You can only make them look like they're second worst by throwing out everybody who did worse than Tesla by this nonsense metric. So I'll show you what I mean by changing the minimum from -10 to -1 and changing the maximum to 2.5 there. So now you can see Tesla at 12%, Ford at 14%, and I think he added together some of the, like VW, he must have thrown in Audi and Porsche with it somehow, subtotaled them below the data table or something by automaker instead of by brand. So yeah, this is what the chart would look like of this this dumb metric here. So what did I say on Twitter? Let's get back to X. So he was just retweeting my fun little pie charts here that I styled like Pac Man, telling me that I didn't understand that Tesla was losing EV market share from one year to the next. So I said, I guess you missed this one? It was only a 2-tweet thread, buddy. How short is your attention span for you not to have seen the second tweet where I explained that pie charts can be deceptive because each pie chart indexes against itself, meaning you can't tell how much the total amount has grown or shrunk by year over year by looking at two pie charts, each of which is only showing you the share of that year's sales. Maybe the thing on the pie chart is growing a lot every year. Maybe it's shrinking a lot every year. In the case of battery electric vehicle registrations in California, they are growing a lot. They're growing by 58% per year. And because Tesla isn't also increasing their sales by more than 58.3% per year, they're losing market share, even though they were way out in front to begin with, and they're still way out in front now and growing at a rate 5 times higher in terms of units sold than the nearest competitor, which is Chevrolet. It's just that the average competitor is growing by more than 58.3% from, what is that, 2,400 to 4,800? Okay, so they're doubling their sales. Will they be able to continue doubling their sales as those numbers get larger? No, they won't. All right, so we'll close out of this one and show you his next chart. He said, buddy, you claimed a casual observer only looking at the charts above might think Tesla sales are declining, when in fact Tesla registrations in California grew by more than 5 times more than the nearest competitors did. How short is your intellect? Well, sorry, Adam, I hate to break it to you, but you're short on intellect, and possibly short on Tesla stock. I don't know. But here's that 38.5% that we saw for Tesla that they grew by. Again, he has truncated the chart here, even though there are plenty of brands that grew their sales by less than 38.5%. Adam has chosen not to show you those automakers. And he also isn't showing you the ones that grew by insanely large percentages, like Cadillac, 17,000%, because it would wreck the scale of his chart. And because it would reveal that he's using a meaningless metric here. Registrations year-over-year growth as a percentage doesn't tell you anything if you don't know how terrible that company's sales were the prior year. The worse your competitors did in the prior year, the easier it is for them to take share from you this year, right? So I replied, so far this year, Tesla registrations in California have grown by more than 50,000 vehicles, while no competitor has grown their BEV registrations in California by even 10,000 units. Tesla's competitors are all losing the race badly, but at least they're running. Adam had thought he was making a clever joke earlier about Tesla, saying, yes, I'm losing the race, but look, I'm running. He thinks Tesla is losing the race. No, Tesla is winning the race. And I decided to make a chart that illustrates that. And I will tweet this out. This is the California battery electric vehicle registrations. I'm going to have to shrink this so it'll fit on your screen. There. Here's how much Tesla grew their sales by year over year so far this year, according to the California New Car Dealers Association, 50,969 units. How well did the second best brand do growing their battery electric vehicle sales in California? They grew by 9,510. Mercedes, BMW, VW, Hyundai, etc. And some of them actually lost sales in absolute units year over year. Jaguar, GMC, Porsche, Mini, and Mazda are actually in the negative percentages, selling fewer vehicles outright this year than they did last year. And that's my video for today. So with that, I'll check back in with Loki one more time and show you that he's still curled up and sleeping. Before I say, if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click the like button on whatever platform you're viewing this. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can subscribe for free by clicking a subscribe button over here. But thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon or by joining my X channel by subscribing there. And a special shout out to my executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.